Good morning, friends. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. Today, let us start with MSBI, Microsoft Business Intelligence, and which is a very popular tool nowadays to get the data from different sources and dump into a data warehouse. It could be a SQL Server data warehouse or Oracle data warehouse, and from there you should be able to do lot of analysis or lot of processing, and after that you do lot of data visualizations with SSRS, or people may use Power BI or Tableau, or people may use also Excel sheets, because number one reporting tool in this world, you know uh, in this world, is Excel sheet. Many people will love that, right? So many middle management, higher management, they don't know SSRS, they don't know Power BI. But if you ask them how do you get the reports, they'll say that we have we have Excel that we can operate on. So what is the problem with the Excel is that Excel is more manual, but it can also do wonderful things. Okay, so but nowadays we have SSRS, Power BI, and Tableau, lot of other tools also available. But from Microsoft side, you have SSRS from MSBI, and Power BI is extra module that you have to install if you wanted to work on Power BI stack. Okay, so Power BI is not replacement for MSBI. Many people are thinking that Power BI is replacement for MSBI. No, because Power BI completely onto visualization part, not onto integration and analysis. It cannot do that. Okay, let us understand what is integration, what is analysis, and what is reporting or visualization. So let us talk about it. Okay, so if you wanted to talk about business intelligence, and you have to talk about data, right? So if the companies are having lots of data, so what is that the companies would do with the data? So companies either, if they don't want to use the data, they simply go ahead and delete the data, and they keep only 1 year or 2 years data. But if you ask any company, are they deleting any data? The answer is no. They don't delete any data, they always keep the data, and they wanted to do a lot of data analytics on the data. And using data analytics, they should be able to take precautions to improve their business, right? So let us understand what kind of a data company can have. The company can have small data, or the company can have big data, or company can have medium sized data, right? So if somebody asks you what are the characteristics of the data, so if somebody asks you what are the characteristics of the data may be in small size, or maybe in medium size, or maybe in big size or larger size, right? And if you ask them where is the data located, so we're talking about the location of the data, right? The location of the data could be in Denmark, or UK, US, London, Yugoslavia, or India, Japan. So we're talking about the data is available. It could be in small, or it could be in medium, or it could be in a large level. And we're talking about the location of the data. Location of the data may not be in same place, maybe in US or UK or in India, etc., etc., like that. When you ask them what is the environment in which the data is available, so when you ask them what is the platform in which the data is available, some data may be available on books, some data may be available in Excel sheets, some data may be available in SAP mainframe. They may say that some data is in .NET, Java, etc., etc., etc. Are you getting my point? So the data size could be small. We're talking about size here, right? The data may be in different locations. The data may be in different, technical platforms like in Excel, SAP, mainframe, .NET. If they have very limited data, they may store the data in the Excel sheets, or sometimes they have to store the data in the Excel sheets. They will not be able to do anything else, right? So or sometimes the old data may be there in the books itself, that's manually stored. So the data they did not touch it. After that, they have implemented a software system in their company. Then later they had start using a SAP or mainframe or .NET, Java, Lotus, SQL Server, Oracle, whatever you wanted to have it, right? So when you ask what is the accuracy level of the data, okay, what is the accuracy level of the data? So many people say accuracy may be low if they're storing in a books or the excel sheet, and excel sheet doesn't have any kind of a validation of the data, right? If you don't validate the data, you're not guaranteed that the data is cleaned data. Or whenever we get the data from Facebook or Twitter data, so for example, I'm talking about chart data, right? So the data is not very accurate data, right? So the accuracy is maybe low or maybe medium or maybe high. When you store the data in RDBMS computers or mainframe or SAP computers, there are a lot of validations are going to be done. So the data will be very cleaned data and accurate. So clean means so it doesn't have any kind of a duplicates, and you don't, the system would have checked that it is cleaned data, and the data we have to get, and we have to do a lot of storing and processing on the data. Are you getting my point? So if you ask these questions, lot of things we can understand. Are there any relationships with the data? So I have some data. Are there any relationships? For example, I have a employee data, I have a sales data, or I have HR data, I have sales data, something like that. Are there any relationships between the data, right? And the company is going to be maintaining lot of variety of data. Okay, so variety means I'm talking about here. Uh, Let us say domain, let lot of domain data, different domain data. For example, they may have some HR data and they may have some sales data. HR people are going to be having a employee ID, employee in employee sales and employee increments and all these things. That data is available. Sales data, probably the sales people are going to have the sales data, customers data, and you have marketing people will have their marketing strategies data. So like that, you have different varieties of different domain data is available in a single company. So when you talk about the characteristics of the data is like that. Now if somebody tells you that, look at my data and tell me something about it, right? So if somebody asks you this kind of a question, and look at my data and tell me something about the data. So what is that you're going to do? So you don't know, because it is not very limited data, or it is not very small data. If it is a limited data, by seeing some numbers you can say something. As a data scientist guy, or as a business intelligence guy, we will be able to get the data from different places, different environments, different sizes of data, and different accuracy levels in which the data is being stored in different systems. And the data is related to HR, sales, marketing, different types of data is available in the given company. You think about Apollo hospitals, you think about MRF types, you think about IBM, Microsoft, Google, and you think about any company like Amazon.com or Flipkart.com. So they're not going to store only single data. Whatever you're saying is that is perfectly fine. For example, you buy something in Amazon.com, you think that Amazon is selling, storing only Amazon the sales data. Whenever you go to Amazon site and register something, definitely your data is captured under customer, and there is a sales, and there's a product. But apart from these three, Amazon is also having a lot of inventory, and where are the godowns are available, and who's the godown in charge, and inventory data, HR data. A lot of people are working, lakhs of people are working, millions of people are working in Amazon.com, and Amazon HR is going to track all those data, right? So where is that data? And whenever you go back and ask them, this product is not working, and this product is not under warranty, or break, or something has happened, and you're going to send them back, right? So where is that data is captured? And for them, there is a separate tables which been created in Amazon.com. So when is that, the customer received the product, and what is the issue with the product? Is it under warranty or not under warranty? Like that, lot of things will be, or taken there. If you're talking about insurance data, so whenever you buy a insurance policy, medical insurance policy data, customer data, what type of a product you have taken, and after that, next year onwards, you're going to renew the data, right? So renewals data is also captured, and whenever you join in hospitals, your claim will be sent to the source of the insurance, right? So could be a insurance company will get the claims data also. We're talking about a company will not have only single data. So company will have different types of data, different domain data. The data you have to access it and you have to understand. Now, so what are the companies nowadays doing? So they wanted to have lot of data analytics, because data analytics will give you insights into the data, what is going on, or what is that we're going to be doing with the data. So, right? So I wanted to analyze the data in smooth manner, and I wanted to tell some kind of a things to the customers. Now, the question is that what is our role in the company, right? So as a BI developer, what is that you're going to do? Are we going to do doing the analysis, and are we going to tell the customer saying that, hey, there is a problem in this, you need to do like this? Are we going to give any kind of a decisions or any kind of a suggestions to the customers as a MSBI developer? The answer is no. That is not we're going to do. But what is that we're going to do? So when the customer is asking, I need tell me something about this data. That means first the data scientist, or first the people, who are going to access the data, they will not be able to tell you anything until and unless they get the data from, different places, and all the data they have to get from different environments, and they have to clean the data, and they have to segregate the data in using different data marts, for the HR data in different mart, and sales data in different marketing data in different, okay, data in different marts. So what is that we are going to do? We are going to collect the data. So what is our role in this context? MSBA, if you're learning, what is that we are going to do? We're going to collect the data from different sizes of data, different locations the data may be available, and different environments in which the data is available, and you may have different accuracy levels. For example, I told you, if the data is available in Excel sheets, it may not be very cleaned data. You may have duplicates, or the data of birth column. For example, I wanted to have data birth column, say December and the second and 1990. This supposed to be written, but instead of that, somebody is entered like this. Now tell me, is it accurate data? No. Excel sheet is still is going to be taking the the column data like this. So I have a simple example. I have a gender, right? So gender uh, could be a male or female. So inside that there is some X, or there are some Y entries have been made in the Excel sheet of the data. Now tell me, is it very cleaned data? It's not very cleaned data. Sometimes you may have a null values. Now, if you have a lot of null values, null means a blank. Try to understand. It is not zero. It is not no. Null means a blank value. So that data is not filled at all. So with the type of a data, what kind of analysis we can do? Definitely, the null values needs to be filled with some kind of a data, and that is also you have to take it. So you have to collect the data. So while collecting, you will have different issues: the size, location, environment, accuracy, domains. So whatever be the issue, don't worry, but still you should be able to collect the data. That is our role. So for collecting data, so we're going to use SSIS. So SSIS means SQL Server Integration Services. Integration means merging, collecting, getting the data and dumping into one system. So collecting the data from different places, right? So once you collect the data you have to organize, and after that, you have to process the data. So lot of computations have to be implemented. So here we're going to process the data with the help of SSAS, so SQL Server, you know, analysis. Because if you don't do the pre-computing, if you don't you know pre-compute the data, definitely you're going to get a lot of time wastage for the during the visualization part. The next one is you're going to give the data to the SSRS, or nowadays people are also taking the Power BI, right? So when you have a Power BI or any reporting tool, or people can use simply Excel sheets also fine. So people can get the data which is coming from a cube. So here we are going to process the data with the help of a cube, and the processed data will be given to the SSRS, or it can be given to Power BI, or it can be given to Excel sheet for visualizations, right? So what is that we're going to do as a BA developer? What is my role? You will be a BI developer. So your role would be either collecting data and dumping into the system. And the second thing that you should be able to, analyze the data, you should be able to process the data, or you should be able to work on SSRS or Power BI or Excel sheets to create a reports and give it to the companies, right? So this is what we're going to do. So in simple examples, I'll give you. So what is your role? Are you going to be analyzing the data? So as a technical member, you're not going to analyze the data. So all BTech guys who are going to, take the data and analyze the data and create a report, and this report will be given to the management. So this report will go to the user, right? So thus reports, end of the day, the end users, the management of the company are going to get it, right? So the management people are going to analyze. So this work is done by us. So we are not going to analyze the data. We are not going to do any kind of a suggestions, and we are not going to do any storytelling to the management saying that, hey, this is went wrong, this is very good, and like that. We don't do it. Okay. Simple example I'm going to give you. You go to the hospital, there is a doctor, right? You consult the doctor saying that I have a problem. The doctor will say, get this test done. So they'll give you some medical reports, right? A blood report, and you have some BP report, lot of things they're going to be asking. So test number one, you need to do this. Test number two, you need to do this. Test number three, you need to do this. Now tell me, doctor would like to know the patient body condition, right? So you take the tests, and directly you have to go to the lab of the hospital, and there is a lab coordinator or the lab technician will be there. So those people are going to collect your blood, right? So they're collecting your blood. So, and they are going to process your blood, because they have to get what is the hemoglobin level they have, you have what is the calcium you have, what is that iron you have, and lot of things they wanted to verify. So they'll be processing your blood, and after that they create a nice report in the paper, and they're going to print and give it to you, right? So now tell me, whatever the lab technician is doing, you're doing the same thing in the company. So you're called BA developer. So collecting blood, processing of the blood, or the and you're going to create the report, and this report will be given to you by the lab technician. That report you're going to give it to the doctor. Now doctor is the guy who wanted to see the data, and he will say that, hey guy, you don't have the hemoglobin, or you don't have calcium, or you have a typhoid, or you have malaria, something like this. So no, the lab technician may be knowing that something is went wrong, but lab technician is not the right person to tell. Lab technicians are we. So what is that we're going to do? We're going to collect the data, and we're going to process the data. We're going to create a report and give it to the management, the later. So the management people could be a data scientist guy, or any other guy in the company. He's going to see the data, and they're going to understand what went wrong and what the past analytics they can do, and they plan for also future analytics, right? So the doctor will give you, you take this tonic or you take this tablet so that it may get cured, right? So what is that we are doing? We are doing only this. We are not supposed to tell as a BA guy, okay, what went wrong in the business. The business people are called as, management or any other people. Business analytics guys will be there. So all those people would be asking, we need this kind of a report. We need this kind of report. We need that report. We need this. See. So when they're asking, then there is has to be a team. That team has to collect the data, and that team has to process the data. That team has to get the data. But the question is that the company is not going to have very limited data, right? They're talking about huge collection of data. They have huge collection of data. You think about Apollo hospitals, you think about MRF tires or Amazon.com. Now tell me, one day how much data those people are going to get? Do you think that they'll get only 1 million data, 2 million data? They'll be getting lot and lot of data, but the data may be available in a website, Amazon.com. Whenever you go to Amazon.com and book something, the data will get stored in Amazon.com, but Amazon.com will have a backend SQL Server Oracle, so the data will get stored there, right? And Amazon.com is also having a lot of data in Excel sheets, lot of data. For example, in inventory they may use Excel sheets. They take the Excel sheet and they update the data, and later they'll come to the system and they feed the same data, something like that. But in one of the way, or one of the places where they have to use Excel sheets, for example, they'll be having godowns where there is no internet facility at all. For example, a lot of places, remote places, where they'll buy a lot of raw materials, right? So I'm talking about Hindustan Unilever. When I worked with them, they have coffee plants in Assam, in India. So that is a remote area where you don't have any internet facility. Once in a 3 days, you'll be able to get the data. So those people have to go to coffee plants. They wanted to understand what is the age of the plant, and they have to get the tea leaves. The tea leaves, the processing, the large processing is by Brook Bonds of Hindustan Unilever, right? Tata Tea, all these people, they collect the data. What is the age of the tea plant and how many acres we have currently? The data is not available in daily basis in your systems, because though the data is available in hill area, so where the plantation is going on, and you have a lot of people manually they collect the data from there, and once in a 3 days they'll come to the or the centers, data centers, they feed in the data. But till that time they may use Excel sheets, or they may use some kind of a pads, and there is no internet connectivity at all, but still the data is being captured. So it is not like a small company. It is Hindustan Unilever is a very big company in India. Tata Motors, so Tata Tea, all these people are playing, but you cannot say that the data always will be in online. So that may not be possible. Some data you have to get from through books, and once in a or 2 days, 3 days, you will be able to get it through some data centers or some places where the internet is available for them. Clear? Okay. Now, what is our role? That what is the size of the data you have? So, if the data size is very, very limited data, so already we talking about, right, this, right? So when you have a limited data, so I spoken about when you have megabytes of data. So for example, I may get a 10,000 rows or thousands of rows every month or every annum. So you're not going to use this big suckers, SSIS and SSAS and SSRS. People straight away dump the data into Excel sheets, and they should be able to store and process the data. So already we discussed about it. If the data size is smaller and nobody is going to use, the Oracle, SQL Server, mainframe, because end of the day, my data is very small data. For example, every month I'm getting 100 inquiries. Go online trainings.com I'm talking about. Now every month I'm getting 100 inquiries, and 1 year data will be 1200 inquiries, and 10 years data 12,000 inquiries. Do you want me to implement a a very big tool like SAP or Oracle or Java. No, I don't need anything like that. So I'm very happy with the Excel sheets. I'm able to do storing and processing. So I wanted to analyze after 1 year or after 3 years. So every year I have 1200 records. So I wanted to analyze that in which year we got more number of students, and from which place I'm getting more number of inquiries. Is it US or UK or Japan or or India or where, and which city is giving me more and more data. So what is that the requirement? Are they asking for more data science courses? Are they asking for more MSBI courses? So I am also doing a lot of data analytics on the data, but I'm not going to do I'm not going to use any tools like a Hadoop tool or any other tool. So I'm very happy with the Excel sheet. If you don't have Excel, at least you have to do manually, right? So if it is little data, you should be able to do it manually. But when you have megabytes of data, 10 MB, 20 MB of data, I'm very, very happy with Excel sheets. But now the data is grown up, so I'm getting every day 2000 inquiries. So the data I'm getting is GBs nowadays. So when you get GBs of data, you get millions of records, lakhs of records, right? So Excel sheet cannot be used. Already we discussed this point. You have to use RDBMS tools, right, to store the data, and we have to use a language to process the data. Okay, so you have a lot of languages that you have to use to process the data. We have Oracle and we have SQL Server, right? You have MySQL and you have IBM DB2 and IBM Netezza, and you have Teradata. So all these tools are called RDBMS, relational database management tools, been implemented in 1970 in the industry. So 1970s we got these tools been implemented, and many people, many companies are storing the data and completely structured data in one of these tools. And when you have GBs of data, for example, every month I'm getting say 100 GB of data, lakhs of rows I'm getting. So 100 GB of data 1 month. What is the 1 year data? 1 year data, I'm talking about 1 terabyte of data. I'm talking about last 20 years of data. So 1 terabyte into 20 means I'm talking about 20 terabytes of data. Are you getting my point? So this is the data I'm talking about. So every month I'm taking so this much of a data. Now how the people are going to process? And earlier we had say I have 100 GB of data, 200 GB of data, and 300 GB of data for 1 year. People can use any language like Java, or you may use PHP, or you may use a .NET, or any other language, C, or any other language. You should be able to use that. You should be able to get the data and process the data, and you can create nice report and you can give it to the people, right? So the front end people, the language people are called front end, the back end people are called what? RDBMS people, right? So these people can store the data of the company, and you should be able to get the data, process the data, create a report and give it to the management. But this can be allowed when you have GBs of data. Now, slowly 1 year I'm talking about is, 1 month is 100 GB. 1 year is I'm talking about 1 terabyte of data, 2 terabytes of data. When the data is in terabytes, so I wanted to store my data, past 5 years data, 10 years data, I wanted to store. So to store terabytes of data, so we're talking about crores of records, billions of records, that data, I will not be able to store them in normal RDBMS. So you have to store this data in the data warehousing technologies. So data warehouse been implemented in 1990s. Okay, so first 20 years people are able to store the data. Slowly the data sizes are getting increased, and after that there is a guru called Dr. Kimball and Inman. So they had to identify one more concept called warehousing, right? So warehouse means in layman terms, which is a godowns, right? Lot of godowns, right? Godown means a large amount of things can be stored. Now we're talking about data, so it is called as a data warehouse. So how the data warehouse is implemented? Data warehouse is also one more RDBMS tool only. Try to understand, which is not something else, and you don't have any other software for it. So how the data warehousing will be created with the help of these two tools. Okay, so I have a Oracle, I have SQL Server. The software is the same, or I have a Netija, I have Teradata. These are called data warehousing softwares, but RDBMS, right? So you have to buy a large amount of hardware. Software, the same software you need to have it. For example, I take my laptop is 1 terabyte of hard disk space, and I have 4 GB of RAM. So maximum I can store 1 GB, 1 terabyte of data, but I wanted to store say 500 GBs of data. Can I add a hard disk? No, my motherboard may support 1 or 2 1 terabyte of hard disk, but if I keep on connecting 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte, can I do that? No, you will not be able to do that. So what the people have to do, they have to buy a bigger hardware where you have 500 terabyte of hard disk, and you have 1,000 GB of RAM or more than that, or you don't have 1 or 2 processors, you may have some 500 CPUs or which are running simultaneously. So the hardware size is very very big. Inside that, you're going to install either Oracle or SQL Server or Netezza or Teradata, like that. So these softwares will be called as a data warehousing now, because the underlying hardware is too much, so that you should be able to keep the large amount of data. So now data warehouse is being implemented in 1919 onwards, because of the the increment of increasing of data size slowly in the in our history. Now who's going to process the data? For the processing purpose, as we know, the BI tools have been identified. Instead of using a language, so people have invented a lot of tools like SAP BI and OBI and MSBI, and we have a SAS BI. Lot of tools been implemented, and people were happy with these tools. Okay, but I have the data, but why can't I use a Java? You can use Java, but the only problem is that you have to write lot and lot of code to do that. Okay, as we discussed, I wanted to travel 10 miles, right? So I can take a bike and go. That is Excel sheets like that. When you have a limited data, you can take a bike and go, because you wanted to go to 10 miles distance. But if you wanted to go to 100 miles or 2000 miles, definitely 500 miles, definitely the bike is not suitable. You may take a bus or train go. So that would be the next one we're talking about. So I wanted to go to my place, Vizag. So I wanted to go to you know uh, Vizag. I may take a train and go. But I wanted to come to US. Can I take a train and go? No, I have to take a flight and go. So the distance is more. We are changing the tools, right? So for the 10 miles, I'm taking a bike, and for the Vizag also, I'm taking a bike and go from Hyderabad. That's fine, because end of the day, you're using the wrong tool to go to from Vizag. You're going to Kolkata, or you're going to go to Vizag. So definitely you can take a pulsar and go, but end of the day, more fuel consumption, and more risk, and more time you need to this one, and lot of pain. So instead of that, when you use a right tool like bus or train, less time and less, it is less price and less budget, and comfortably you should be able to, reach the destination. So increase the size of the, travel. So increase the size of the data. You have to, choosing the different tools. So small data, use Excel. So some more, large data, I'm talking about GBs of data, the better going for RDBMS. Even more, bigger sizes, we're talking about terabytes of data. You store the data in the data warehousing, and you should be able to process the data with the help of SAP BI, Oracle BI, and MSBI. So like that. So We are talking about here SAP BA and Oracle BI, and we have SAS BI, lot of tools. These tools are meant for enterprise level companies. Very, very big companies are going to use this. So that was the intention that time. And these tools were very, very costly. So you ask them SAP BI or OBA, they say that it is very costly tools. And these are only containing only one tool, that is what is called a reporting tool they have. So they're not going to give you anything. So they will give you only reporting tool, but how can we store the data? Then again, for that you need to buy Oracle and create one data warehouse. Okay. And how can we dump the data into Oracle from different locations? Again, you need to perform ETL operations. So they don't have any ETL. So you have to buy Informatica or data stage and you have to dump the data. So SAP BA, Oracle BA, were popular initially, but they were giving only one tool, that is reporting tool. Then Microsoft thought, why is that the customer has to pay lots of amount of money and budget, and they have to recruit different skill set people. So one guy should know perform ETL operations. I'm talking about the collecting data itself is a ETL thing, ETL operations I'm talking about, right? So for the ETL, and olden days, people were recruiting Informatica guys, data staging guys. And for the storing and processing, again, they have in a reporting, they have implemented some kind of a processing in itself. So they should be able to have, for reporting, they have to have Cognos, business objects, and crystal reports. So for the reporting purpose. So Informatica guy, he will not be able to work on the reporting, and reporting guy will not be able to work on Informatica. And the one more biggest problem is that these people are not aware of SQL in depth, because if you're working with the data, if you're working with data, SQL is very, very important. SQL means, I'm not talking about SQL Server. SQL means I'm talking about SQL language, structured query language, because all these tools are going to be having a language called SQL. The SQL language being implemented by 1970s by IBM. So many people think SQL and SQL Server, both of them are same. No, answer is not. Are they same? No, because SQL is a language which is being given by IBM uh, in order to store the data inside Oracle, inside SQL Server. So, for example, I'm using English to teach you MSBI, right? So I have to have a language. So the language I'm using is English, like that. So Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, if you wanted to interact with them, so you need to tell them a command in a language. The language is called as SQL, structured query language. It's been developed in 1970s. But before SQL comes, what was the language people were using? C. So using a C language, if you give any command to SQL, any command to Oracle or SQL Server, you have to write a 10,000 line of a code. You are saying, hey Oracle, you store data. So what is the data? What is the data structure? How we have to store everything? You have to create a lot of code, and you have to give them to the people so that they're able to store it. So either Oracle or SQL Server, it was very, very difficult. Then IBM says, no, this is not the way. So we should be able to have a very simple language, very small language. So they have derived SQL language, structured query language, to store the data and to retrieve the data. If somebody says SQL and SQL Server, are they same? The answer is no, because SQL is the language name. Microsoft thought this is very good, so they had given a name to their software as SQL Server. So SQL Server is a RDBMS tool, and Oracle is a RDBMS tool, and MySQL is a RDBMS tools. These are called softwares. Try to understand. And SQL is a language. So SQL has to be compared with C and C++ because C, C++, Java, .NET are languages, and SQL is a very small language when you compare with C and C++, and it is very, very powerful to store the data, to retrieve the data. So all RDBMS people who are learning RDBMS, so when you learn Oracle or SQL Server, Netezza, so the faculty is going to teach you a language that is called SQL. Okay. If somebody asks you, do you know SQL? What is the understanding? Understanding means, do you know any of these tools? If you know Teradata, that means you can say, I know SQL. If you know Oracle, yes, you can say SQL. So when you say SQL Server, yes, you can say SQL. So SQL means a generic word. If somebody asks you, do you have a bike? The bike could be anything, any manufacturer, right? If they're saying, do you have, Honda bike, then they're talking about, do you know Honda? Do you have Honda? So when you know SQL Server, then you can say that I don't know SQL Server, I know DB2 or I know Oracle. If somebody says, do you know SQL? Yes. If you know one of these, and definitely you know that you have to, SQL. So SQL is a generic word. Clear? So SQL and SQL Server, both of them are not same. Try to understand. SQL is a language and SQL Server is a software. Clear? And all these people, the people like ETL developer, or the reporting developer, they are not well aware of SQL. They know limited, they can do some kind of a joins and everything, but they're not in depth of this one. That is also one more problem for the company, because you have to recruit ETL guy, you have to recruit reporting guy, and you have to recruit database guy, and you have to recruit one more database administrator to maintain the data. So all these were a big circus for the companies. Then Microsoft BI says, no, 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 don't do that. We are going to be helping small companies, okay, and medium level companies. That was the initial focus, okay. And small and medium companies can easily uh, installing with MSBA. But today, all companies, even the major companies, also slowly turn towards MSBA, because which are very very cheap. So enterprise level companies, very very big companies, also turning towards this. I had got many students coming from Informatica, and because they wanted to learn MSBA because of more and more opportunities, and which are inexpensive or cheap, or sometimes which is a free. So when you buy SQL Server license, and automatically the Microsoft is giving, you use MSBA for first 2 years or first 3 years, or they're charging one third cost of the whatever be the tools of the other BA tools in the market. And here you will be getting a three tools. One is ETL and the cubing, and you have processing, and you have reporting and visualization tools. And all these tools have been uh, developed in 2005, and these tools on top of SQL Server. So that means people who know SQL code, they need not learn any new language. People who know select star from employee where gender equals to male, if you know this kind of a code, and definitely those people can easily work on MSBA. And MSBA is not a single tool, which are set of tools, that is three tools. So that is ETL tool. So SSIS is ETL tool we are talking about. Now we have talking about SSAS is analysis tool. Okay. So here we're going to analyze the data, we're going to process the data, and SSRS is reporting tool, where you're going to do lot of visualization, or lot of or data reading is through done with the help of these tools. Clear? So these are the three tools Microsoft is giving, and now one developer can learn ETL. The same developer can work on analysis part, creating a cube and everything. The same developer is going to work on a reporting tool. So now one guy can do multiple things, and plus they also should know SQL Server, that is SQL code they should be able to write. So MSBA is built based on a SQL code. So if you know bit SQL, and you should be able to work on SSIS or SSAS or SSRS without any kind of a issues. Now SSIS may take 20 hours of training, and SSAS, including data warehouse, will take 15 hours, and this may take some 8 to 10 hours of training. So this is what is the complete duration of our course. Clear? So MSBI people are more demanding nowadays, because of they're going to work on multiple tools at a time. So they can work on ETL side, they can work on analytics, analysis and processing side, and the SSRS is also be implemented to create lot of reports. And apart from that SSRS and MSBI people, many people or nowadays they're also jumping onto Power BI sector. Power BI is not part of MSBI, so this is a separate module that you have to install and to create a lot of visualizations. Okay, so for that purpose, Power BI is also many people are learning. So if that is not there, also at least if you start with SSRS slowly, jumping onto Power BI is not very difficult, because for 90% of the people who was learning Power BI, they know already MSBA, so they can easily get it. Clear? So this is the story about MSB and what each tool is doing. So in the next class, we're going to understand what is ATL, so what is SSAS and what is SSRS. And tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start with ETL tool. Okay. Now, before going to that, do you have any questions, guys? So we are talking about the data, only terabytes of data. So this data is called as limited data. Okay, so this is very limited data. Terabyte means people can easily store it. Now the data sizes, not the terabytes today. In 1990s, we had terabytes and data warehouse in BA tools been implemented. In 2005, Microsoft released MSBI and people are able to do it. But today, we are not talking about limited data. We are talking about unlimited data, right? So when you have unlimited data, so definitely, for the storing is again big issue, and processing is big issue. To store unlimited data, I'm talking about the data size itself is petabyte of data. So zettabyte of data, petabyte of data, zettabyte of data, eulabyte of data, yottabyte of data. So something like this. When you have this kind of a data and the processing is a lot of problem. This is called big data. Big data is a big problem. Okay, so when you have a big data, so this much of a data when have, so what is a big data? Big data is storing this kind of a data is a problem, because data warehouse so can store, for example, you store 100 terabyte of data. So again, I got one more 100 terabyte of data in fraction of 6 months. Now tell me, can you buy one more server? Can you buy one more server every 3 months, every 6 months? I will not be able to buy servers and servers, servers and servers, servers and servers, because every 3 months or every 1 month, I'm getting speed in which I'm getting the data is too much, right? So 2002 onwards, slowly the data is getting doubled, tripled, and more. And olden days, only humans are creating data. So this data, how the data is being captured. So you go to the shop, you buy something, you create the data. You go to a railway reservation counter, you buy a ticket. So post event, post transaction, the data is getting this one created, and that is stored. So we were talking about in traditional BA systems and traditional systems, a customers or human beings are creating data. But today, now tell me, even though you create the data, humans are creating the data, but not in depth of the, too much of data human cannot create. For example, can you tell me how many hours you sit on Facebook or WhatsApp? 1 hour, 2 hours, right? Not more than that. But instead of humans are creating data, now machines are creating more and more data. So that is the one root because of these sizes. Now tell me, can you tell me one example where the machines are creating, for example, weather forecasting machines, lot of radars, lot of sensors, lot of flights they have. Now can you tell me how many flights will be there at this moment on the sky, in the sky? Thousands of flights, lakhs of flights, millions of flights, right? Each flight is creating a lot of data, lot of the thinking about GPS data, talking about Google Maps data, your car data, Uber Cabs data, Ola Cab data. Now tell me, are we creating, or the car itself is creating? When you travel with your cell phone, automatically your route map is captured by the GPS positioning, right? Your Google Maps. Now tell me, so machines are creating data instead of humans. Humans are creating very less data. Today, machines are creating much more data. Now, the data size is in not in limits. Now, definitely traditional systems, the normal BI applications, normal RDBMS applications, normal Excel sheets cannot store, because we were talking about the human beings over store, creating data. You buy something, the data is created. But today, the machines, are participating. The 80% of the data coming from machines only, weather forecasting systems, or there is a machine, there is a maintenance logs will be recorded, right? So we have lots of boilers, lot of machines, lot of things. For example, whenever you open a Google, so whenever you open a Gmail, do you know that you will be sending one or two mails, but the data is 1 KB. But whenever you open a Gmail, the Gmail is collecting lot of log data. Who's opened? Bhaskar. Where is he opened? This IP address. When he has opened this time, and what is it doing, and what mails, how many mails he sent. So lot of data is, Gmail is collecting, that is in the log. So lot of log data for each and every Gmail. If you sending lot of data, one is that mail data, the second one is log, which will be created by the Google, and Google can also analyze that logs data. That data is not very small. Now tell me, how many people will be using Gmail throughout the world? Lakhs of crores of people, and every time whenever they come online, the data will be captured. A log file will be created for that user. And what is the IP address in which he is sending the data, and what is the time, and how many mails he has sent, what is the mail body, this one, that one, two address, everything it is getting captured. Now machines are creating a lot of logs data, machines are creating a lot of Google Maps, Google Map data. So lot of binary data, a lot of weather data, lot of sensors, lot of radars, lot of cars, lot of machines, flights are creating. These are called machines. So this kind of a data is now a big data. Big data is a problem. Big data is not created by human beings. Maybe yes, maybe a Twitter or Facebook. Apart from that, you have a lot of other data in this world. So these are generated by machines. So how can we store this data? For storing and processing, people are using Hadoop technology. So Hadoop can store data. Hadoop also can process the data, right? So for storing Hadoop, and we have HDFS. Hadoop distributed file system is the concept which is going to be used, and to store the unlimited data. And for the processing of the data, Hadoop is going with the MapReduce, which is a Java-based program. Now, not only Hadoop, but why Hadoop became so popular? Because Hadoop is free. Okay, so why Hadoop became so popular? Why so much of hype is created Hadoop? Are there any other tools? Lot of other tools are there to to store big data and to process the data. So you have Microsoft Azure Data Lake and lot of big data, big table of Google. Lot of things are there, but they are not hyped because Hadoop is free, right? Open source, free. Because of this reason, many people are learning Hadoop, and people who know Java and people who know SQL. Try to understand. If you don't know SQL, you will not be able to understand any technologies. If you data warehousing, BI tools, or ETL tools, or reporting tools, or even Hadoop you're learning tomorrow, SQL is the basics things that you have to have it. So without SQL, if somebody says also learn Hadoop, don't learn Hadoop. So you have to better learn SQL in depth. Otherwise, many people again come back. One of the guy and asked, "What are you learning?" He said, "Sir, I'm learning Hadoop." So what is that? Take away from this. He says, "Sir, I have to undergo for SQL training." So that is what is the takeaway from the course. He says, right? So if you don't know this, definitely learning this big technology is useless. But definitely people have to go and understand the SQL. So I have uploaded lot of videos, and I'm also conducting lot of sessions. So please join with that if you are willing to join. So that will be free for you. Okay, so don't worry about it. And MapReduce is the thing that will be used. Now, the problem with the MapReduce is which is completely disk based and which is a bit slow. So to overcome these issues, and the Java is completely object oriented programming. So people thought about it, and which is not meant for data analytics. Okay, so in view of that, they had to implement one more. technology called Spark and Scala. Okay, so now you have a Spark and Scala in place of MapReduce. MapReduce is completely Java-based programming, and you have a Spark and Scala. This is environment in which the companies are, creating lot of application. But Spark and Scala, Scala is the language and Spark is the library. And these people doesn't have a storage, and these people have to use Hadoop. So Hadoop is going to store the data in HDFS, and instead of using MapReduce, and Spark and Scala is 100 times faster. Okay, lot of improvement in the performance angle. So many people are using now Scala and Spark. Okay, Scala is the language, Spark is the library to in which you should be able to store the data, get the data when you have unlimited data, right? When you have a limited data, you should be able to do like this, and you should do a lot of things like this. But when you have unlimited data, so definitely a normal tools cannot, tolerate that. You have to go on to Hadoop. So Hadoop is having two components now. We have, instead of MapReduce, people are going, Spark and Scala. And apart from that, there is a machine learning, a lot of data science. All of them are there in the industry to do a lot of predictions and lot of data mining queries. So everywhere data. So next generation technologies are going to be with data. So the fuel for the next generation technologies is data. So that you have to work on. So we're going to work on, so MSBA. A lot of demanding is available throughout the world for MSBA, because you never say that I have a flight, so I'm not going to use a train or a bus or a bike, right? It is not like that. So for the small distance, you have to use still a bike or cycle, right? So you have a rocket to go to moon. So now Hadoop you think is a rocket, but rocket is not suits for all kind of environments. So Amazon may have Hadoop, Amazon may have MSBA, and Amazon may have also one more tool like Excel sheets. So for small data, Amazon may implement Excel. For the some kind of data may have, some front end back end languages like Java along with SQL Server, or they may have data warehousing. So the companies are not going to take only one thing. Can you take only flight and go to reach airport? You need a bus, and to route the bus terminal, you need a bike, or to you have to go by a walk, right? So many people think that I have Hadoop, I have to leave everything. No, you should not, thinking like that. So a lot of tools, every tools is important, and much more demanding is available nowadays. So people are getting nice salaries and everything. So you can also, right? So definitely you should know SQL Server to learn any, BH stack or Hadoop stack, right? Hadoop is unlimited data, but BI is completely meant for structured data. But Hadoop, Google Maps data, unstructured data, binary data, any data, image data that Hadoop can process, and Spark and Scala can process. Am I clear, guys? Now, these are the technologies in the world the people are learning, and you have to be part of these technologies. And if you work with, if you wanted to be work with in this decade, otherwise you will be out of the market very soon. Clear? So we're going to discuss about MSBA in detail from tomorrow's class. We're going to start with ETL, that is SSIS, and so the architecture and everything we're going to discuss from tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Anybody has any questions?
Hi Bhaskar, this is Dhanashika here.
Yeah, please.
Uh, like in order to access collecting the data from the website,
Okay.
from the URL, which tools we're gonna use? Are we gonna use IS or RS?
From the very good question. So you don't have any this one in SSIS we have a web service task we have, but If you wanted to get a live chart streaming data, people are calling it as, right? So if the everybody is charting, so that data you wanted to capture, and you may use Java. Web crawling is that web people are going to say saying as web crawling. So if the live streaming data is available in websites, and that data if you wanted to capture, there is a method called web crawling. So using Java you should be able to use it, or you should be able to use the .NET also. Or if you have a web service, if you wanted to capture the data from the web service, you can use web service task within SSIS. This is clear?
Uh, okay, SSIS. Okay.
Yeah, web service task.
SSIS tool, since it is a data warehousing tool,
Hmm.
so will it store only the already processed data or like the live data?
Yeah.
The same
So
question
the
that
SS,
he asked, I'm confused.
yeah, SSIS is raw data. For example, I have one A10. This is my raw data. For example, there is a customer data 2B20. So this data is will be accessed as it is, and this data is going to be dumped onto data warehouse. So SSIS is going to take the data as it is, and we're going to dump it in the data warehouse. And in the data warehouse, we're going to use a process. So we're not going to process any data. We may clean the data, right? So many times we're going to use a lot of transformations, and we do lot of cleaning and some kind of a data merging, data scrubbing. Those things we're going to do, but we are not going to do the aggregations and all. Are you clear?
Okay.
So
Okay.
raw data dumping,
And
yeah, you're going to learn in SSIS so that this clarifications will be very very clear to you. Yes.
and one more question is that's like, is there any Microsoft certification for this MSBI?
Yeah, we have a lot many certifications for MSBI, and one certification for SSIS, and one certification for SQL Server T-SQL, and one more certification for SSIS and SSRS. Total, you have three certifications. Okay, that you should be able to write. So these numbers and all, I'll be sending it to you so that you can go through them. Okay. So the examination also will cost you, I think, 4,800 rupees in India. I think in US it will be costing you some $150, I think, right? So 4,800 rupees is examination. So if you fail, you lose the money. So you have to be careful and write these examinations. We have three certificates for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Uh,
Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning, Bhaskar. This is
Yeah,
Deshan.
good. Tell me.
Yeah, actually, in the SSRS stuff, we going to go through many like stuff like for every data, like not every chart is suitable, right? So we can go through that, like for which data which particular chart will be suitable.
Whoa, I'm not able to hear it clearly. What is it? Big data?
No, I'm not about in the SSRS stuff. I'm saying that like
Okay.
for every data there is some chart, right? For this data, you can use this chart
Yeah,
for
yeah, that
numerical value.
yeah, that we're going to discuss soon. What kind of a data, what kind of a chart you can use, and
Okay.
that we're going to discuss in the visualization part. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. And one more thing, like, would ETL testing will be different from this? And
ETL, whatever we are doing is ETL development. As a developer, you have to develop the code, right? ETL testing
okay,
is that the testing people are going to test all ETL packages. This is a testing concept. Okay, but they
okay,
should also understand one of the ETL tools to perform the ETL testing. So ETL testing is one more concept, one more course that you have
okay.
to undergo.
So this won't suffice for that. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
fundamentals
you need to
testing.
know the development concepts plus the testing concepts. You have to know how to write test cases, and all of them. The
Okay,
testing gurus only can teach you.
okay, fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Big data on the Hadoop kind of,
Mhm.
so we use structured or unstructured data.
So I'm talking about the traditional systems are morely into structured data. I'm talking about these traditional means these you have data warehousing and RDBMS is morely structured data and Excel. But when you come down to the Hadoop, so Hadoop can have structured data, Google Maps is unstructured data. You have a chart data is unstructured data, and you have live stream data is unstructured data. XML data is semi-structured data. Image data, all data you should be able to get it. Okay, so Hadoop can process
Okay.
all variety
Can
of
be in. Okay.
so IBM says three V's, right? So variety of data, volume of data, and you have velocity of data, veracity of data. So volume, speed, size, lot of parameters are there. So Hadoop can process any kind of data, but data warehouse means you have to turn out the data into traditional data. So you need to dump the data into a data warehouse. If you're getting the data in the flat file, I cannot analyze it, right? So the data you have to dump into data warehouse with the help of SSIS, and you have to process the data and create reports. So that is what is the traditional BI systems are are having, and this is what is lacking also for the data warehousing systems and BI tools. Yeah, good. Any other point?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Bhaskar.
Yeah. So anything else? Sham, you wanted to talk something?